1, 2, 3, go.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, Lord, as we will start the discussion, may you be with us, guide us. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from above, help us to fully understand well and comprehend whatever our group mates will be saying. Take me to the Heavenly Cross and the first and the least and pray. Amen. Lut sa ata, oy. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Today, we will be sharing all about the colonial period. The colonial periods. Each of us has a task on which colonial periods we are. Some are the Spanish period, 70s art, contemporary art, and then we are here to discuss it and share it to each one of us what we have learned as we research on it.
So good morning, everyone. I am tasked to explain what's with in the pre-colonial period. So in this era, it started between 900 and 1565. And the purpose of this art is through migration and trade during pre-colonial period, there was a lively cultural interchange between the Philippines and other Asian countries. And the classification for this art are the visual art, architecture, performance art, and the prominent artist of this era is the Negritos, because they are the mostly prominent artists because they are the first inhabitants here in the Philippines. And the prominent art, ang ilang mga pieces are the manunggol jar, which this jar contains mga katong burial jar excavated from Neolithic burial site in Manunggol Cave of Tabon Cave at Lipon Point at Palawan. And we also have the Maitum jar, which is also a boreal jar, secondary boreal jar. Sorry. And the techniques that are distinct from this time is the most distinct picture of all is the exhibited boat building techniques and their role in the history of the development of Asian trade networks. And the characteristic that must be we should able to preserve in this era, or let's say the characteristic that must be or we should have been able to preserve this era is to continue the unchanged art design in this era. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My topic for today is about Islamic colonial period. Islamic colonial period started in 13th century. Traders and missionaries have introduced the religion of Islam in the Philippines. Islamic art meshed with ethnic culture and produced a Filipino Muslim art that reflects the ethnic background and Islamic identity of the people. This era started in 13th century to the present. The purpose of this era reflects the cultural ideas. The art of Islamic world shows the way of Muslim preserve the divine realm and cosmos. For the Muslim, reality begins with the center of Allah. Allah is the heart of worship and aspiration of Muslim and is the focus of their lives. The classification of this era including Islamic architecture, Islamic calligraphy, Islamic miniature, Islamic glass, Islamic pottery, and textile arts such as carpets and embroidery. Religion Islam has been typically characterized by the absence of figures, extensive use of calligraphy, geometric, and abstract floral patterns. A prominent artist nga ako rang nailhan kay si Abdul Ari Asha Imam. The prominent pieces of this era are Okir. Okir is kanang sikat siya sa mga Maranao in Lanao, Philippines. Tapos Sari-Manao is a legendary bird of Maranao people who originate from Mindanao, the major island of the Philippines. It comes with the word sari and manok. Sari means cloth or garment, which is generally assorted with colors. Manok means the part of its name of the Philippines, the word chicken. Techniques are the best in Islam art is used to symbolize the transcendent and invisible and infinite nature of God. The artist, the characteristics to preserve this era is Islam art directly reflects in its culture value but also shows the unique Muslim view of life and all spiritual things. Islamic art is also includes aspect of Muslim culture. In Muslim culture, people use the surface of decoration to ornament ceramics, rugs, and intricate patterns, books, and mosque. Islamic arts portray the essence or meaning of the things rather than their physical form, which is why they use the Holy Scripture is so prominent. That's
Good morning, everyone. My topic for this morning is all about Spanish colonial era. This era started in 1565 to 1898, and the purpose of art for this era is the art was used as a tool to propagate the Catholic faith through beautiful images. With communication as problem, the friars used image to explain the concept behind Catholicism and to tell the stories of Christ's life and passion. Classification of art for this time of era: painting, sculpture, and graphic arts. Prominent artists: they are Josef Luciano Danz, Esteban Villanueva, Jose Joden, Tomas Nazario, and Miguel de los Reyes. Prominent artistic pieces from this era. In a church in Paiti, Laguna are two works by Josef Luciano Danz in 1805 to 1870, probably one of the earliest recorded painters in Philippine art history. Langit, Lupa, at Impierno, a three-level painting which shows the Holy Trinity, Mary, the Mother of Christ, saints, the seven blessed sacraments, and the macabre depiction of hell. The second painting is entitled Purgatorio, which shows the 8 forms of punishment the soul passes through. Ayaw kakatawa eh. The cleansing before reaching heaven. Tapos, sa dagan mo na, makita lang na niyo dia, sir. Karisan niya. Then, next, techniques that are distinct from this time: carve, engrave, and paint. Through ethnic art forms such as pottery, weaving, and metalwork were retained. The Spanish friars and the Chinese, the colony primary trading partner, were slowly introducing newer art forms. Icons brought from the friars were used as models for sculpture. Filipino artisans were taught the Chinese brushwork technique in painting. Engraving was also introduced. What artistic characteristic must be or we should have been able to preserve from this era? The art as a tool to propagate the Catholic faith through beautiful images. Oro to, guys. Sir, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My topic for today is American Colonial Period. American colonies, also called 13 colonies or Colonial America. It was started in the year of 1607. It was ended in the year of 1776. One of the purpose of the art of this era is to show the beauty of the land and its people. The classification of the art of this era are color drawings, watercolor, photographs, photo montage, and calendar illustration. And one of the prominent artists of this era is Fabian de la Rosa, where he painted portraits, genre scenes, and landscapes were a fully realistic eye. And the second one here is Fernando Amorsolo and George Pineda. The famous artwork of Fabian de la Rosa are women working in the rice field and young Filipina. Fernando Amorsolo also have some famous artworks like Palay Maiden and Dalagang Bukid. The techniques that are distinct from this time or era are true portraits, landscape, painting, architecture, furniture, making, and other crafts. The artistic characteristic I should have been able to preserve from this era is to bring their art closer to the people through forms like murals, prints, and cartoons. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning. So today I'll tackling about the Japanese era. It was started on 1942 and ended in 1945. The purpose of the art of this era is to show what something. The classification of art this era is Kanse and oil painting. One of the prominent artists of this era is Fernando Amorsolo. The famous artwork of Fernando Amorsolo are the bombing of Intendencia in 1942, the wreck of Manila in 1942, defense of a family of Filipina women honored 1945. The techniques that are distinct from this era are through portrait, architecture, and propaganda. The artistic characteristics that we should have been able to preserve from this era is to continue our passion in any situation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Did you know that the period of the late 1960s and early 1970s, or commonly known as 70s contemporary arts, is seen as the breaking point of offering a fresh definition for creative production? This time marks the birth of the term contemporary art, also referenced as postmodernism art. In the period of such change, which is owed to the hippie movement and the student protest of 1968 rather, which have pushed forward for the most thought-provoking concept. The 1970s are famous for bell bottoms and the rise of discos, but it was also an era of economic struggle, cultural change, and technological innovation. Did you know that Neo-Expressionism, a style of modern painting, was very popular during the 1970s? Neo-Expressionism focused on portraying simple objects like the human body in an abstract manner. They were referred to as the New Wild Ones. Artists in that field were people like Chuck Conley and Jinn Michael. That's all. Thank you.
Virlan, matig pa cute.
Virlan, ayaw, sige ka. Nagkatawa.
So, mora to sa among report. Thank you.
Gabukong nagigos akong katawa kay sa tumamang gid ako si Virlan niya. Tanaw ko sa kamera. Si Virlan kay gana.